Listeners and supporters, thank you for tuning into Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM, where there's always something good to talk about. I am your host for the evening, In Depth with Ty Barnett. Joining me momentarily will be the renowned Barcelona, Spain born pianist, Marina Albero. Introducing her fabulous work of art, A Nomad of Sound, a diverse collection of material that was written during her time in New Orleans residency with many lineups of the NOLA musicians. We all know the Bayou is a great place to be. Marina, she will share stories about her time and the initial interest of being a dancer, but later pivoted to become her expression of music. A nomad of sound exudes jazz, blues, flamenco, Afro Cuban, and even classical. It gives you a worldwide, wrapped all in one feel, bringing intimacy to your ears. Indeed, a nomad sound, a rare gem. And the piano is her lucky charm. That's what I felt when I listened to this piece. Oh my gosh, it got me out of my seat, my body moving, my feet moving. But you know what? It also gave me relaxation. I wanted to grab a cup of tea and a good book and just listen to all the music and the instruments being put together. It's like a time capsule of Back to the Future. Music is life, music is art, the cultural, the sounds of different genres in this one song and album that brings you to a state, again, of relaxation, a nomad of sounds, and the amazing Marina Albero. Welcome to In Depth with Ty Barnett.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Miss Tai. What an honor being here. What a beautiful introduction. It's been my whole life being different places and playing with musicians that I've been encountering since I was a baby, because I don't even remember my first concert, as my musicians family had me on stage since day one. And apparently one day I just stood up and started playing, joining the band on xylophone, and the rest, it's still a work in progress. But certainly, music, it's been my language of understanding and getting to know each other, getting to express oneself with freedom, and being accepted for who you are, where you are at that moment. So to me, being a nomad of sound pretty much means how I live my life. I've been living in Spain since I was born. And then when I was 15, my mom and my dad sent me off to Cuba to finish my classical piano studies. And there to me was like a paradise, because I had this really strict Russian technique on the piano. But the conversations with my teacher were like if I was talking to my auntie. And then after my class, which could be something in between an hour and 4 hours, we never knew how long we were going to hang for. I would go out with my friends dancing every night
Wow.
until 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. And at 8 a.m., I was back to the college in front of my marimba, my vibraphone, my timpanis, studying classical percussion and piano. To me, it was the perfect mix because, as you said, I do love dancing. And the music, to me, needs to also be experienced on a body plane, not only from the intellectual side of the person. And that's kind of what I would like to evolve my music. I've always been in projects where people are standing up and dancing, or where the audience is actively participating. And I think it's most important that nowadays we don't forget about moving our bodies, and stop being seated in front of a computer and mingle and dance with different people. Because dancing is another beautiful language where you can express yourself very freely, and also you can collaborate with others on making something fun and beautiful together. Talking about my music background, well, my mom and my dad were kind of retrieving back to the people's hands the traditional music in Spain that was forgotten because it was forbidden by the dictatorship. We couldn't speak our mother tongue in public. We couldn't dance our regional dance, folkloric dance in
Mm,
our, in our celebrations. And that was for 40 years, between 1939 and 1975
mhm,
in Spain. So my dad became at very early age, when he was like 15, he started singing in Catalan, which was not allowed,
mhm.
and he was prosecuted for that. Um, just to start like the new revolution of democracy and freedom that came when the dictator passed away in 1975. So in mid 60s and 70s, my dad was doing that, while my mom, who is a little younger, she was studying at the Conservatory clarinet. When they met, I am their first baby. They decided to leave the city, leave Barcelona, where I was born, go to the countryside, and start doing a beautiful research about instruments, dances, and celebrations that were being had been taken away from the people. And so their job on bringing back to life all these old melodies and also meeting up with older musicians that already knew that kind of music, that was a beautiful journey that I was born into and raised into. And then from there, we went kind of even backwards all the way to the medieval music. So my early ages were playing lots of different instruments, like bagpipes, very loud instrument for parades called gralla, making also some of the props and the big heads and the giants that we have for the parades.
Wow.
And then we went into the medieval music. My mom and my dad started producing medieval markets when nobody had ever done it before in Spain in 1992. And then I came to Seattle, to the US for the first time, on a rehearsal for a play that we were playing on Barcelona Olympic Games in 1992. And in Seattle, I had the serendipity to walk into a beautiful tiny workshop, a luthier workshop, where they were making hammered dulcimers. This is a millenary instrument, very ancient, that comes from Persia.
Mhm.
It's strings and percussion, and I fell in love instantly, and I was 12. So we took that instrument back to Spain. I started doing my own research with medieval music, but also I transcribed Indian music, music from Afghanistan, flamenco, I'm sorry, flamenco. And that took me to a completely parallel journey in music, very different from the classical, more school, more classical and kind of rigid world where I was studying music. I had this outlet where I could improvise and I could transcribe music from all over the world. So I had this, I always like to think about myself, like there are at least two parallel Marinas, one that never had a teacher, that always just would sit down and start playing an instrument with no fear. And
Mm.
then the Marina that had all this literature about how the pianos played and Chopin and Beethoven and Bach. So to me, it's a beautiful contrast because I do like learning from my ancestors and from all the musical history that we have. But I also like, and I'm a big advocate for people to be more intuitive and really curious about just playing for oneself, for fun, for like reaching a meditative state, or just sharing with your friends without having to be a professional, without knowing what you're doing. If you like it, keep playing. You don't like it, change it. So to me, combining the both backgrounds, it's been key to move between that big respect towards tradition and also thinking that we already have our inner voice when we are born. Everybody can make music. And I do like that approach because it gives me a lot of room to create and not be afraid of comparisons or being good enough. Or it's more about the social part of music. And that's what I'm trying to reach out. Then living in the US for 10 years, it was already for me a way of keep exploring these places where to me music feels so strong, so rooted.
Mm,
And I came to the US with a big interest about, rock and roll, blues, jazz, gospel, soul, and most of it comes all from African American tradition, which I already experienced in Cuba as well. The mix between all the slaves that were brought there against their will, and what they find there is like these other instruments and these other ways of making music, and then it's lots of pain and lots of bad and big mistakes by
mhm,
but humankind. But in a way, arts and music, it's always been an outlet for us to express ourselves and create and be free. And I can see that. And here in New Orleans, it's exponentially bigger, because it really, you can feel that people here, kids, are playing, just learning by ear. And they first probably they dance on the second line, and then they take the snare drum and they know where the groove is actually cool. And so I like that part about New Orleans, where music is very social and very embedded in their daily life, in their celebrations, in their mornings, in their sadness, in their joy. So Cuba had a lot of that, and I kind of already remember the same feeling in Spain with the flamenco players that are actually people that learn by ear, not at school. And I'm kind of following that thread in the
mhm.
world. And my next places would be Brazil, and then I want to go to West Africa, and then I'll keep going into India, because I play also with Indian musicians. And that way of organizing the sounds, it's so incredible,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's so different to me. So I feel like a baby every time I move to a new city, or I met a new group of musicians from a different place. I see myself smiling all the time and looking at them like, am I okay? Am I playing right? And they smile back to me, and I know I can just keep going. So yes, that kind of explains how I want to live my life. I want to be a nomad of sound. I want to keep learning. I want to be a baby. I want to be humble again and start from scratch, because music is bigger than a human life. So I'm having a blast just following that.
I love that. And what I'm hearing in all of that you said is that it's like each time you go to a new place or you're meeting new individuals, it's like your rebirth. It's
Oh
like you're
yes.
born again. And I love that for you. So also, I mean, it would be remiss of me if I don't say congratulations, just one on the album, A Nomad of Sound, but also on your two Golden Ear Awards and then your Record of the Year, Concert of the Year. Oh my gosh, you
Well,
are.
we are nominated. Everybody can vote. You all can
Yes,
vote
I
until
did.
March.
I
That you
did. I
did.
did.
Okay.
I did. I
Oh my
voted. I
God.
saw
Thank
that.
you.
I went to your
Please, I.
website. I went to your website and it said vote and it said, yep, I clicked the button. So yes.
So much. Thank you so much. Here in New Orleans, I'm seeing all the friends, because I just moved to New Orleans a month ago
Mhm.
after my stay last year. And yesterday I saw Amina Scott, who is a great musician and amazing person. And I told her, I said, thank you for blessing my album. And she's like, Marina, I listen it sometimes just because it's so beautiful that I get go back to it and listen to it. And that's a big compliment coming from a musician in
Yes.
the album, and especially her. So I do appreciate all the encouragement and all the support, because this is a self-released and self-produced album. So it's a lot of work. Sometimes you don't know what you're doing. You don't know if it's gonna get anywhere. So again, you're making my night. Thank you so much, Miss Ty.
No, thank you. You are en llamas.
I'll take it.
And for those that don't know what that means she is on fire.
I have fun, that's
Absolutely.
for sure.
So tell us what inspired the title A Nomad of Sound. I mean, that's just I always want to know when a musician is coming up with their phenomenal titles, and then also where did the inspiration of the album cover come from? I mean, I'm a sucker for art.
Mm.
I love when art tells a story. So not only just the title of your album, but also the album cover. How was this all inspired and where?
Well, that's a beautiful question. Not many people ask me about the album cover, and I should talk about it. The album cover was made by this beautiful artist. She's half Georgian, half Bulgarian. She lives in the UK. And we met in New Orleans in 2023. My first time in New Orleans, I came to see if I wanted to spend my savings in a few months here. So I came May 2023, and everywhere where I would go, there was this young woman drawing on the spot the people who are playing and dancing.
Mm.
And I was amazed by how she could capture so quickly the energy of every person. Like you would look at her drawing and you would look at the dance floor and you're like, wow, like this guy has the same movement. How you do that? So when I was thinking about did I want for the art, because I made also a vinyl, I made an album, a record, and this actually gets super better when you have the big format because it's all of us. Everybody you see in that cover is in the album. It's all the musicians
Wow.
that are in the album. And she's also pretty nomadic. You know, she's been born in one country, lived in a couple more. She's traveling all the time, just getting inspired and drawing. And I thought she's the perfect person because she has the same kind of life and she also improvises a lot, which I love improvising. And yeah, and then the title, it's just as I said before, it's how I want to live my life. I
Hmm.
want to keep collecting sounds. My first album is a triple that I call a live soundtrack,
Yes.
which goes on the same lines. To me, my music tells my life and my experiences. I don't sit down and compose things that then I go to the studio. I go out and hang out, and then I get back home and I'm like, oh, with this person, I get this groove, or it reminds me that melody. And also going to an art museum when I see beautiful art, I hear music.
Hmm.
So to me, the only way I can make music and compose, it's living. It's having experiences with other humans in nature. And that's where my music comes from. It doesn't come from the brain. It comes more from the heart and the soul, I think. And New Orleans, I wasn't sure I was going to make an album. I just came to write music and, we'll see. And it was so amazing seeing how music it's outpouring all day, everywhere, everybody. I mean, it was easy, it was natural, it wasn't forced, it wasn't so planned. And that's why I want to be a nomad of sound, because that's how my music evolves and gets richer and different. So that's my plan. I'll keep walking, I'll keep learning and making music for all of us to get together and enjoy.
Absolutely. So that hands-on approach. I love
Yes,
that. Absolutely. So
definitely.
before we pivot on, tell us about, and if it's still current, if you're still an instructor over at, is it the Cornish College of Arts? Are you still a piano instructor there, or is that something that you have to take a pause on? Just,
I had to quit because I decided to move out from Seattle. It is an
yeah.
amazing experience, and I'll be forever tied to that school because I play with musicians that graduated there. I already taught there in 2018 for a semester, and then since 2021, I've been part of the faculty as piano professor. Mentoring is one of my favorite things to do. The only thing that I'm sad about when I move to a new place, it's that I feel like I'm abandoning my students.
Mm.
And that's not a nice feeling. In the other hand, what I'm realizing as the years go by is that every student that I've had, we keep in touch, especially those who pursue music. Like I had a student in Barcelona when he was 8, and now he's probably 19, 20 years old. He
Oh.
just won the first prize of composition in France, the Elan Prize,
Woo.
and we stay in touch nowadays with Instagram and all these technology things. I listen to his music. He asks me questions or he encouraged me. Same with all the high schoolers that I've been raising in Seattle, and then they go to Berkeley or to the Manhattan School of Music, and then they come back. And I was hosting these jam sessions in my backyard in Casa Marina in Seattle, just for them and for me to gather and see each other and catch up. So now I understand that when you leave one place, you don't lose your friends.
That's right.
You just expand your network, and they also going to move, and we keep connected. And nowadays, even easier with all the technology. So I feel like the family keeps growing. The kids that were 8 are 20. They are better musicians than I am, and I feel so honored and touched that I had the opportunity of being part of their musical life and personal life. So yeah, mentoring is something that I can stop doing. I love it. I think we need to pass on our knowledge down to the next generations. That needs to be done always. So I'm really all about that.
Absolutely. I know in Girl Scouts, we used to say, make new friends, but keep the old. So you're right. As you move and as you pivot and go to different things in life, you're not, you're maybe leaving them in the flesh, but your mind and heart is still with them and you're able to still have some piece of them as you carry on to the next journey, right?
I believe so. I want to believe, and I actually practice that. Yes, it's possible.
Yes. Now, what classical, or not even necessarily just classical, but what composers have you worked with that are very inspirational to you that's touched your heart and your music because you've worked with so many, but all of your work is just so great. And I'm like, wow, where's she pulling this from? And I can hear so many different people or composers within your pieces. So tell me, which composers are your inspiration?
I should say one of the most influential in my writing. It's been actually a Catalan composer from Barcelona. His name
Mhm.
is Frederic Mompou, Mompou. On my first album, there are several pieces that are inspired or are almost like new versions of his works. He went to Paris. He was at the Conservatory in Paris. So he's got a lot of this kind of impressionistic French style.
Mhm.
Think about Fauré or Debussy in a different way, but I mean, he was really subtle. And he has these beautiful chords that are already, because he was born, I think, in 1903 or at the beginning of the century, 20th century, and he passed away in 1983. So that his man was like in touch already with the jazz language, and the jazz language based a lot on the French Impressionism. So that kind of bridge between the classical and the more jazz harmonies really, really connects with me. But I'm also very prone to the big classics, like especially Bach. Bach still
Oh,
amazes me.
yes. Oh, yes.
It's I don't know what he could do just with the diatonic kind of approach because he doesn't go very far away on the keys. He doesn't play many, let's say, dissonant chords. But his counterpoint work, where the three, four voices are all together and independent at the same time, it's to me it's very magical. And he definitely changed the course of history in music. Bach, it's super important.
Oh, yes.
I love all the romantics. I love a good Tchaikovsky. I love a good Chopin. It's all that rubato. And I believe Chopin, by the way he wrote the music he wrote, I have the feeling that he was a great improviser, that he probably never played the same nocturne exactly the same way. Just when you see these phrases going up or going down,
Uh-huh.
all these kind of cadenzas, I'm pretty sure he was improvising on his own works, like we do on a standard on jazz. So I believe that improvisation is been always around, and some of these composers, I can tell. Mompo, I don't think so. He was very well thought. He would take a lot of time on deciding what notes I'm going to put in this precise moment. Chopin, to me, feels like he had fun just sitting down on the piano and making stuff up all day. And then, of course, if we go further, I'm a big, huge fan of Thelonious Monk. That's another way of composing that it's very unique.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. He makes me smile. He makes me laugh. Makes me cry. Very unique. Very, very unique. And so many others. I mean, of course, the big Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one. That's you know what I mean. I mean, throughout the whole human history, there's a few that are like geniuses, like no discussion from work number one. So there's a lot going on in this music world, a lot. And I'm leaving a bunch of people out because I don't want to make
Sure.
a Wikipedia post.
Yeah.
But it's huge. And Ravi Shankar in India, I don't know, it's very huge. I listen to many different kinds of music, and so I could go from a Cuban piano player to a flamenco singer to a classical piano player to a soul. I mean, it's music, it's the best, and it's huge.
Absolutely. So we talked about New Orleans earlier. So what was it about New Orleans that kind of piqued your interest to agree to say yes to residency? And we know that New Orleans is has a rich, 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 rich history. Oh my gosh, so much is there. So, and then the musicians that you work with in the Bayou, what was that like just being there and pulling from the liveliness of New Orleans?
It's hard to describe. I think the shortest way, at least to this, this answering this question would be to me, it's like a musician's Disneyland.
Oh wow, I love that. I love that.
Everybody can understand what I mean by that, right? If
Yes.
you think about yourself being a kid and not so young, maybe even, and going to a place where it's all fun and all colors and good sounds and happy, and that's to me New Orleans in music. Also, New Orleans, as we all know, it's a very harsh city in other aspects, like the weather, right?
Mhm. Oh yes.
Like we even had snow 3 weeks ago, like 1 foot of snow.
Wow.
And the next week was hot. And the next day was windy that you couldn't even walk on the streets. And the next day is raining like crazy. And then the sun is hot. There is a lot of potholes. When I was here last year, I got 2 sprains just walking down the street. I
Wow.
fell. And some people warn me, would tell me things like, Marina, the city will tell you if you need to stay or you need to leave.
Oh wow.
That's how they talk to you about the
Wow.
city,
That's huge.
right?
Wow.
And there is a lot of energy, there is a lot of haunted houses, call it juju, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
like New Orleans has a lot of energy. It's a very intense place, so it's not for everybody. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to say it's the ideal place for everybody. The way I am, that I go with the flow, like to the last extreme, to the ultimate. I really go with the flow. I'm very respectful with the timings around me. I'm not pushy. I'm not too lazy. You know what I mean? I go with the flow.
Yeah.
If you go with the flow, New Orleans is gonna smile back at you. But you need to be respectful. You need to see the timings of other people. You need to see the energy around you. And I kind of like that. That to me, it's real life. Because, I come from Seattle. Seattle is a very organized city.
Yeah.
Like, they even know what time the birthday party is going to finish,
Yeah.
which to me, that was like, wait, how do you know? Like, birthday party 4 to 8 p.m. I'm like, you know what time it's going to finish. And yeah, people would start leaving at 7:40 p.m. without being asked to. That in Spain, it's impossible. Like, you
Oh,
don't know
that's
when it's
so
going to
true.
finish.
Yes, I know. I
That's
agree.
not. So I've seen places more organized or more in order, more contained.
Yes.
Um, and it's beautiful too. I've been there for 10 years. I've learned a lot of things. I appreciate that many times. New Orleans, that's not how you roll here. You cannot get mad because the concert doesn't start at 9, as they said. It's going to start at 9:40 or at 10 p.m. And it's okay.
Yeah, you
It's
just have to
fine.
live with a flexible mindset.
Right? And that's for everything. And then live in the present
Yes.
because we don't know about tomorrow. That's a spirit that here it's everywhere. And that's good for music. It's good for improvised music. Be here, be present. Don't don't worry about anything else. So some people get very nervous about this kind of life.
And hey, I don't understand, but you have to be a chameleon if you want to live in that state.
You need to observe, you need to go slow, you need to, don't speak too loud, like especially not being from here. But I love the energy here. I think I'm very respectful, and that's why the city is welcoming me too, because I'm able to sit back and observe, and Maybe I go to a concert, there is a jam. I don't even say anything that I'm a musician. I like observing. I like if the things go, if the flow tells me, I'll go and play. But I'm not a forceful person. And I think that's good for this city. It's good because sitting back and enjoying, it's already very easy here. You don't have to do anything.
Love that. And that makes it for that makes for a great living for the most part, right?
Yes, to me it does because I don't feel any pressure. It's all very natural, and I like that. I do like that.
Absolutely. So now we know that the piano, one of the pianos you played on was the great Marsalis's piano. Wow. What was that?
Yes.
What was your reaction like? And how did that feel playing on the piano of such a great pianist? Just like
Look,
yourself.
you mentioned that, and I have chills. You know, I didn't expect that was another surprise. See, that's another thing that I blame New Orleans for that to happen. That was serendipity. My good friend Charlie Akeley, who is from Seattle but lives in Pensacola, he's retired in Pensacola. He's the one taking care of my electric pianos from the 70s, the
Ooh,
Rhodes, the Urli. And he said, Marina, you need to meet that person. He should be your sound engineer for the record. So he came all the way from Pensacola to introduce me to Justin Armstrong, who is one of the best sound engineers I've ever worked with. And he works at the Ellis Marsalis Center. So he took me to two or three different studios to see which one I wanted to make the album in. And when I walked into the Alice Marsalis Center and I saw the 9 feet Steinway, first of all, it's the best piano I saw in any studio.
mhm.
But then when they tell me this is the maestro's piano itself, I'm like, wait, what? So it was a mixture of a little bit of responsibility, a little bit of pressure, because you don't want to play bad on that piano. And at the same time, a big, big honor. I was like, everything is gonna sound good on that piano because it's so well played. It's so happy. It's such a happy instrument. So many beautiful music and moments have been played on it. It was amazing. And I also got to meet the students because the Alice Marsalis Center, it's a beautiful school
Yes.
um, for mostly underprivileged kids that can go there and you don't have to pay. You do your access tests, and once you get in there, you get the best teachers. And Justin is also teaching them on the soundboard because they have a concert hall, and behind the concert hall there is the booth. They have the best microphones. It's a beautiful hall with beautiful acoustics. We could be all together on stage, which to me was very important. I didn't want musicians to be in different little booths. So it was an amazing experience. We spent one day there. Every piano you hear on my album is that piano. The only track that wasn't recorded there is the brass band track, which I don't play piano in it. I play the Wurlitzer that Charlie fixed for me from the 70s and my Keytar, which is that crazy keyboard that you hang, right? The Keytar.
Uh-huh.
It's a keyboard that sounds like an electric guitar and you
It
play it
does.
like
Yes.
I'm like, wait, I'm gonna play with a brass band. They don't play with piano. I'm gonna play Wurlitzer and I'm gonna play guitar. So we needed a drier room for that because the Ellis Marsalis Center Hall, it's too much reverb, too much like a concert hall. So for the acoustic bands was perfect. For the brass band, we went to a drier room, the Marina Studios. That was an amazing experience. And that was the brass band tune. So yeah, playing Ellis Marsalis' piano, the maestro big piano, and it was so beautifully in tune. They take really good care of it. The staff at the Alice Marsalis Center, it's like exceptional, really kind. I don't know. It was magical. Truly, I mean, truly magical. And you know that I've been releasing the tracks on YouTube. Right
Right.
now, you can watch the takes that we did at Alice Marsalis Center. You can watch the videos on YouTube. I think I have like four already uploaded. I'm gonna upload a couple more soon. So yeah, that was magical. I didn't expect that. That wasn't planned, Miss Tai. That was New Orleans smiling at me in
Wow.
a beautiful way that well, I moved here. I'm like, okay, I'm coming.
Now, what made you opt for and embrace the electrical instruments?
I like it too. I played early music for many years, like really, really old music with old instruments. But I also you know that I am like the oldest millennial on earth, right? I
Wow.
am born right 2 months before the millennials
Yes.
start. I am from July 1979. They say the millennials start in 1980. I'm not from the 70s. I don't remember anything. So I got to have the first Game Boy, the first Game Gear, all the video games, the first internet, the first flip phone. I was a baby. I was a girl or a teenager when all that happened. I got my first synthesizers when I was like 14. So I always felt compelled for technology in some ways, and also because of the dancing.
Sure.
Because it feels like these days people are dancing more to kind of electronic sounds.
Mhm.
And I'm not a radical. I love an acoustic piano. I love my audience sitting down, listening to my compositions, applauding. But I love a party and people feeling the music in the moment. So I always had that, that's always pulling me. And the guitar, it's just fun. It's like a toy. I only play it seriously because Herbie Hancock does it. And
Oh,
if Herbie Hancock plays the guitar, he just elevated that toy to a real instrument. You just need to play it as well as you can,
yeah.
because it can be just funny. And no, you need to be serious about it, right?
Right.
But since I saw Herbie Hancock that he keeps playing it on each concert, he always has a moment with a guitar. And I'm like, yeah, maestro, thank you so much. Because I also like this kind of thing. I want people to smile. I think we should be a little less serious. And musicians, sometimes we get too serious about it. It's like, hey, that's serious. You did the work, now have fun. So the keyboard precisely in this setup, also because that was the only keyboard I could bring for my residency. And it's a cool keyboard you can sit in any band without having to kick out the piano player. Because they say, Marina, come and sit in, and the piano player has to leave. But with the guitar, it's like a flute, you just plug it in, the piano player can stay on stage, and people would start knowing me in New Orleans because of the guitar.
I love that.
And that's a pretty cool staple. That's a pretty damn cool
It
staple.
is.
So
It is. I agree.
I'm like, I need to include my Kitty. I call her Kitty. I need to include Kitty in the album because she's always a source of smiles and joy and fun.
It is. It is a beauty too. I was like, man, I saw you in action. I was like, man, that is so wonderful. And it sounds so good.
And because I didn't have a producer, I didn't have anyone telling me yes or no. I was doing whatever I wanted to. And that's risky, but at least you can do whatever you do. Nobody's expecting anything from you, Marina. No label, no manager, no nothing. I don't want to
Listen,
play theater.
that's freedom. Say freedom is freedom.
Yes, 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 totally.
Yes. Now, I do want to pull at your heartstrings a little bit, and let's talk about how you trickled down your amazing talents to your daughter, Serena. Like, what is the feeling of working with her, and how did she even get started?
Well, my daughter, if you go and Google Cuentos del Mundo, which means tales of the world,
Hmm.
it was really interesting because she was 2 years old when she came down to the studio, put the headphones on, and said, Mom, I want to make a record. And I said, well, yeah, sure. And she's like, no, I want to make a record. I'm serious. And she
Wow.
was 2 years old. That same time, she jumped on stage one day that we were playing for kids, took the mic, and started singing one after another. And she was 2 years old. I'm not lying.
Wow.
I remember being playing and crying, thinking, this girl is music. She just wanted to, she was singing before she was speaking. So I started a label and I made a record for her to be part of it. And it's a children's album where there is a like a tale, like a story, and I composed an original song for each tale. And she learned them all original songs with original lyrics telling the story. And she sings the 8 songs with 2 years and a half, perfect pronunciation. And I founded a label and I released an album just because she wanted to. So imagine how strong music is being within her own body and soul. And that's my baby. And I always said that I wanted my babies to speak my mother tongues, Catalan, Spanish, and music. So to me, I didn't want them to be professional musicians, but I want them to understand and speak music and communicate through music. Now, Serena, when she turned 7 years old, she came at me and said, Mom, I want more music. And I found out that there is a school in Barcelona that they do music every day. I want to go to that school. That was her. So
Wow.
we went to that school. It's a public school. They have dance and music and regular school, and it's a public school, but you need to, of course, test to get in. So we did the testing. She got in, and then she went like on a trip with kids in the summer. I'm like, okay, when she comes back, we're gonna get ready for school, blah blah blah. And they write me from the school and said, "Hey, Marina, your daughter is in for piano, but she sent us an email that she actually wants to play guitar." And I'm like, wait, what? She never told me. She was on this camp for 2 weeks and I couldn't speak to her. And they were asking me if that was okay. I mean, we have actually a spot for guitar if she wants to. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I mean, whatever she says. Like she was so independent.
Love that.
So,
Love that.
so she signed up for the school and then she switched to guitar without even telling me. That's my daughter. That's how independent and how musical she is. So she's got all this classical guitar background, and then her brother, my son, got dragged into the same school, of course, poor baby. And he turned out to also be a musician. He's also a wonderful producer and sound engineer and saxophone player. And he's the one that saved my life during pandemic, helping me recording all the Zoom concerts. And I started my Patreon, and he would help me with the videos and the audios and mixing and mastering. He recorded an album and put it out by himself when he was 16. So both my kids, as we speak today, they are both making a living out of music, and they are 22 and 25.
Oh,
So yes, it's amazing. I never forced it. I never wanted for them to be professional musicians. But I also would say if they ask me for lessons,
mhm.
then we're gonna go hard in it because this is not something to do half-assed. We're gonna if they ask me, get ready, and they did. So now they are part of my band, part of my albums. We play together. They play with their dad, with my mom, with my sisters. We're all musicians. My brother is a musician. My sisters, my mom. So it runs in the family,
Mhm.
and it just makes me feel like my life makes a lot of sense this way because so many families don't get along that much, and you need to see how we speak to each other almost daily, how they send me tunes, I send them tunes, I send them the mixes. So I told Serena, I'm like, Serena, I need you for this album. So she came for 5 days because she was so busy. She came for five days to New Orleans. He was also an amazing emotional support during the recording. I was very nervous,
Oh,
handling so much. Amazing. And just see the solos. She's not a regular singer. Like she solos like an instrument. She's just music. She's not a singer, a guitar. She's a musician. And every time she takes the mic, whatever she does it in the world, the room changes. And after that, everybody knows her. You know what I mean? It's
right.
music with my kids. It's pure magic, and it makes my life, my existence, like yeah, a lot of sense. Because sometimes one doubts what's life. What am I doing here? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm passing something down, and my kids are even better than I am, and people love what they do and makes them happy. So I'm very fortunate that that's happened in my own family, in my own kids. I'm very happy. I don't like even say I'm proud, it's just I feel blessed. It's like, wow, thank you.
Absolutely. It's like the circle of life.
Oh my gosh, right? I think so, yes.
Absolutely. So now we're almost in month three of 2025. This is bonkers. It's going by
Woo!
so fast already, right? So, with that being said, what is next for you? What's going on in your world? Well, we know a lot's going on in your world, But what's next for you? What's going on? Because what's going on with you? What can we expect next from Marina?
Well, there's a lot going on. I keep releasing new things every month on my Patreon page, which is a very fun thing that I do. And I just started using my loop station and making these videos. Sometimes it's hammered out somewhere, I play with other people, or but this time, for instance, from New Orleans, I'm using electronics. I'm super excited. I'm also about to fly to San Francisco, where I'm going to be playing with Naomi Siegel, who is
Wow.
an amazing trombone player. And we also just released a record. Her latest record was a project that we did with New Chamber Music America. Alison Miller, the drummer, is our coach and producer also of the album. But we were working on this music for a year, and now we are touring with her. So I'm going to be there next weekend in San Francisco, Oakland, Palo Alto. And then when I come back, I have a few gigs in town. I have gigs with my beloved friend Yusa, who is a beautiful Cuban musician that is in the album. And then I have my own band finally playing in New Orleans at the Jazz Museum in May. And then after that, I'll go back to Seattle and I'm writing a whole new set of music for June 20th.
Wow.
That I'm doing a lot of research about it. I'm I'm very interested about the etymology of words. I'm going to be working with a poet, Omar Wiley, who
Hmm.
is it's a wizard of words. So there's going to be projections, and I'm going to be basing the music between what is language and what is anatomy. So we're going to go from like the communication to the more the language communication, and then go into the body experience and the body communication. And I'm writing all new music for that for June 20th. And then I'm gonna hop over to Europe and I'm gonna play some gigs over there, especially in Spain. Maybe I'll try to go to France if I can, because I need to go back and see my people and play in my hometown. And then I'll come back to New Orleans, where I'm gonna start the real season of New Orleans will start to me more in September. And I still have in my head that brass band tune that I wrote. I want to write more music for brass band. And Miles, who is the sousaphone player in my album, Miles Lyons, he's my neighbor here in New Orleans.
Hmm.
And I would love starting a project here, some kind of mixed brass band and maybe electronics. When I say electronics, I mean mostly synthesizers because I'm going to be playing everything live. So taking the brass band to more of this sound and playing more odd meters. So that's what this year is happening. I'm already writing new music for June, but I'm thinking about the brass band ideas. New album, new record, not this year. I'm still recovering from it's like when you have a baby and they ask you, when am I gonna have another baby? I'm like, wait, I'm still like recovering. But there's lots of new music that I'm writing and lots of places that I'm going to be visiting. So yeah, and I want to come to Georgia. So let me know
Yes.
where I should play over there because I'm very eager to know more about the US.
Listen, you let me know when you want to come and we can make some calls and make some things happen. In addition to me owning this radio station, I also own a wedding and event company. So listen, we can get you out here and do all the things.
Well, then we need to stay in touch because I need doers like yourself. I need connectors. I need people who appreciate art and knows the value of art connecting people. So let's do it, Miss Tai. Let's do it. I'm so glad we met and thank you for making room for me.
Absolutely, always. Now, tell the listeners where can they follow you at, your website, where can they purchase your concert tickets and just come and support you full circle because I know I need to just like you need to come to me, I want to come to you, I want to support, and we just want to do all the things because we should be in this together. It takes a village in everything that we do. And I love music. I know music is art and you're just a phenomenal work of art, work of woman, and I'm just blessed and favored to have you grace your presence with us this evening. So let the listeners know how they too can support you.
Of course, thank you. Thank you for that, Miss Tai. Well, actually, look, my name and last name, Marina Albero, you Google and it takes you everywhere. Albero, Albero, which means tree in Italian. So you can remember, Marina is about parking, and my last name means tree in Italian, Albero. So marinaalbero.net is my website. From there, of course, there are all the links to my social media. The one thing that I really, really appreciate is the Patreon page. It's a sliding scale model. So you pay what you want, what you can, and everybody gets the same, which is a 15, 18-minute video every month, exclusive for my subscribers. Nobody else sees these videos. Some of them are too funny for everybody. I don't want haters to see certain things, only lovers, as I say.
That's right.
And my Patreon is a very safe place for me to create, and it keeps me very productive because I keep releasing every month. Now, I feel so loved. I know it takes a village, and I appreciate each little comment, following, subscriber, whatever it's your preferred way, supporting me makes a huge difference. That's how I made my album. I had 200 people backing me on my Kickstarter. I
Wow.
call it an army of love. We raised $15,000 in 2 weeks.
Congratulations. That is so awesome.
That's super awesome. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this album. So this is how these days we independent artists can make it. It's thanks to $5 from my neighbor, $10 from my sister. Like it's a community effort, and we need to think that we are responsible for the music and the art that it's gonna last when we pass away. We should not only rely on the big corporations to tell people what music was listened or made. We need also and have the power to connect with each other and help your local musicians and buy art to your local artists. Like we need to focus on the community and on the local because the big corporations are trying to tell us how to, dress, what to listen to, what
Right.
to read, and we should be a little more responsible of our decisions and our economy system and our community. So yeah, if you want to support me, amazing. But in general, support local and support independent, support women, support Black businesses. Let's be responsible for the outcome of this society. We cannot only leave it on the politicians and big corporations' hands because we already know who they are, right?
That's right.
So local and community, it's what's going to make a difference, and it's going to shape your neighborhood, and then your city, and then your state, and then your country. So it's mainly it's super important that we are aware of that. And every time I can make a video for my patrons or release an album through a Kickstarter, I feel like community works, and I feel blessed to be part of that community. It makes me believe again in the humankind that sometimes I kind of lose hope.
That's right.
So let's be responsible. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys remember to please go and vote. Go to our website and you go and vote. Hit vote and vote for all these amazing awards that she's been nominated for.
Thank you so much. You're the best. I need you as my marketing agent. I love how
Make
you
it
speak about
happen.
my music and how you encourage everybody. You're amazing, Miss Tai. Thank you.
I love it. Well, Marina, thank you for gracing us on this platform this evening with your presence. And we look forward to having you return and to share all of your great new works of art and music that you continue to create. And we are definitely going to talk offline about getting you here in Georgia and get some concerts going in some form of fashion. I'm looking forward to it. I'm super excited.
Oh, I can wait to meet you in person because I already know we're going to become best friends. I love your energy. Thank you for doing what you do. That work is really important to all of us. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Salud y alegría.
Salute. All right. I love you and good night. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.